Re-elect John Hampton for Simsbury State Representative. John Hampton was born and raised in Simsbury. He is an advocate for transparency in government, environmental stewardship, and supports programs for veterans and seniors. He is a former member of the House Democratic Caucus, serving as clerk of the Joint Committee on Executive Legislative Nomination from 2000 to 2004. He was also a member and deputy selectman on the Simsbury Board of Selectmen. John is and always will be there to serve the people of Simsbury, here in our hometown and in Hartford.
When I return to the state legislature, I renew my commitment to be a voice for all Simsbury families, senior citizens, veterans, working hard for small businesses, helping promote a positive business climate, and restoring jobs, restoring vitality in the American dream. I look forward to serving you another 2 years in the legislature and have appreciated the unique opportunity, a blessing to serve all of you. Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Simsbury's first Selectman, Mary Glassman, and I'm honored to be here today with Selectman Lisa Hevner to join in supporting our friend and State Representative John Hampton for re-election as Simsbury State Representative. Simsbury could not have a better advocate in representing our town with the experience needed to bring home money, to bring home legislation, and really to look out for the people of Simsbury. So I'm honored and ask you to join Lisa and I in voting for John Hampton on Tuesday, November 4th, so he can continue to work hard for the people of Simsbury. Lisa?
I'm also just thrilled to endorse you for your re-election. John, we've worked together as a team, the three of us, for more than half a decade, when you were Deputy First Selectman on the Board of Selectmen, and now in your new role as State Representative. And it's been so wonderful having a trusted voice and a reliable ally down at the State House who can represent Simsbury so effectively.
Well, thank you both very much. I'm thrilled and honored to be Simsbury State Representative, and I can't tell you how well prepared I was to hit the ground running 2 years ago, because as you know, I was selected for 9 years, Mary's deputy for 5, served on the Aging and Disability Commission, Zoning Board of Appeals, so I had a vast wealth of experience hitting the ground, and of course Simsbury, with our help and record, was already on the map at the state capitol. People knew our record of fiscal responsibility, and we're number one in so many different areas because of the work we did together. So my first term was so exciting, filled with a lot of accomplishments. I served on the Education Committee, the Aging Committee, and Public Safety, and of course continued my trend of adding a voice of fiscal restraint to help restore the economy, create jobs. And again, still working with you guys is such a rewarding experience, and you're such strong advocates at the Capitol, raising your voice on behalf of the citizens of Simsbury.
I think that's so important, John. Your experience of being a Deputy First Selectman, of being on the Board of Selectmen, serving on so many different committees, you're not just a newcomer to the state capitol. And I think that now that you've already had one term under your belt, you really have accomplished a lot, and I really look forward to your hard work over the next 2 years. One of the things that Lisa and I are so grateful to you for is your ability to bring home more education funding and to bring home school security grant funding, which allowed us for the first time to not raise taxes for our Simsbury residents, and I think that's really significant.
Yeah, it's a credit to us as a team and to the town to in this economy to keep our taxes down and have a state budget that did not raise taxes. I was able to bring home more funding for our schools. Again, I serve on the Education Committee, and bringing home more ECS funding, more school security funding was critical for me, and holding our municipalities harmless, making sure that you don't have to pass on the burden to our residents. I was also delighted to bring home some funding for a new senior center, for the design of a new senior center, wherever that may be, and happy to do so.
Well, in preparing for today's announcement, our big endorsement and asking people to come out and vote for you along with us, Lisa and I made a list of things that we were grateful for as local officials, and certainly your fiscal conservativeness and your ability, to try to control spending at the state level, which is a strong voice that you have up there, but also bringing money back here so that we didn't have to raise taxes. Your environmental leadership in the water plan when we risked losing some of our local water control. We talked about your education funding, your support for veterans, the money that you brought home for our senior center and our senior citizens. But, tell us a little about what you thought, most of your strongest accomplishments were over the last 2 years.
I think it's being a strong, independent voice for Simsbury. I represent, and you represent, 23,000 people, and there's elderly, there's single parents, there's folks with disabilities, there's all sorts of people out there with a variety of issues. And what people look for in a state representative is somebody who listens and acts on their behalf. And again, I was well prepared, and my attitude has always been to work in a bipartisan manner. Every day I was in the chamber, I made a point of walking over to the other side of the aisle and introducing myself to a Republican that I did not know. And I've established friendships on both sides of the aisle that are in and of itself worth it, but you need those relationships to craft legislation. And I think that's why I was successful in passing the water bill, which was historic for a freshman, to get legislation passed at all. But this was in response to the MDC proposal to divert water from the Farmington River. And in learning and opposing this with you, we discovered that the state does not have a statewide water plan to address drought, to address emergencies and economic development. So using my experience and relationship skills and legislative background, I was able to, with your help and environmental's help and all sorts of advocacy groups, to put together legislation that passed unanimously in both chambers to create a statewide water plan by 2018.
Which will really protect the people of Simsbury, and which will help economic development as well.
Absolutely. I mean, we're a small state, and we're not like other western states that have drought, but we do have drought, and it's a precious commodity, and it's something that's not only going to benefit the Farmington River, but our water supply across the state.
One of the things that really is exciting, and I'll let Lisa talk a little bit about it, is, having been in elected office locally for 16 years, a lot of times people put their name on a ballot, they win, and then you never see them again. They show up for meetings, but when there's an event or when there's something that someone needs, they're not around. And I think we've been impressed with you is that you're everywhere. You show up at everything. I haven't met anyone that says, "Oh, John Hampton, he's always here," or "he's always around." And I know Lisa's had the same experience.
Well, one of the things I think, John, and it's worth pointing out because people may not know this, you have literally knocked on every household
Yes, I have.
in the town of Simsbury.
I have.
And on many houses more than once.
Yes.
Can you tell us why you do that and the value you get from it?
Well, people always ask me, a lot of people ask me, well, why do you do the door-to-door? And I say, well, you're hiring me as an employee, and you wouldn't hire an employee without meeting them and talking to them and getting to know them and listening to them. And I get such a pleasure from visiting with folks, not only during election season, but as you know, as a selectman and as a legislator, I promote transparency and openness and run into people in the market and take calls. Sometimes I get calls that are town issues still, and I pass them on to you, or I get people who need help with a federal issue, and I pass them on to our federal folks. But it's so rewarding to help constituents with different issues they have, and maybe getting their veterans benefits or getting the state help they need. And but this is my hometown, and I know so many people, and having been born and raised in Terriffill, to give a plug to Terriffill, it is a great small town, and I love the people, and I love serving them.
One of the things that has grown out of that is you've heard a lot about people's struggles and challenges, and you are co-chair of a unique caucus. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, I am the co-chair with Senator Beth Bayh and Representative Jay Case of the First in the Nation caucus for families of those with intellectual and developmental disabilities. And we formed it to give a stronger voice for those with disabilities, those struggling, especially older parents, on what to do when they pass away, as their children need to transition, and we were able to get more funding for the waiting list and support programs through our efforts on the caucus this year. And that was another great accomplishment in terms of supporting those in need. I was also thrilled, I asked to serve on the Aging Committee. Aging issues remain a priority for me, and I submitted and passed legislation creating an Alzheimer's disease task force, preparing our state for the ravages of Alzheimer's disease. You know, the next 10, 20 years, we as elected leaders have to prepare for the boon in elderly population, healthcare, transportation, housing, and the ravages of diseases that come with being elderly. So it's a fascinating area for me. Representing seniors who sometimes don't get a voice in their government is really important.
Well, there's certainly no question that you learned that from your experience in Simsbury. I think, you know, your support for the senior tax relief and your leadership on that, your support for veterans issues, for those with disabilities, you know, those are issues that we all struggle with, whether it's a family member, ourselves, our neighbors, and you know, it's as we grow older and as we live longer, a lot of these issues are going to need to be supported, and just grateful that you've taken what you've learned in Simsbury and applied it at the state capitol, which is really hard for a freshman. I keep forgetting that you've only been there one term, and we need to send you back.
There's a lot more to do.
Now that you're, you know, going into your second term, you'll be able to do even more.
Yeah, I hope to, and I would be honored for and grateful for the support of Simsbury residents, and of course your support means a lot. The economy continues to struggle, but we continue to promote great programs at the state level in terms of supporting small businesses like the Small Business Express, which many Simsbury businesses have taken advantage of to grow their businesses.
And John, thank you for bringing that conference and coming out and speaking. We had one, I remember one small business owner who heard about a program, went home, back to the office, filled out the application, and got funding for employer assistance. And
that was the Step Up program.
The Step Up program.
Conference.
And it was incredible. And
Yeah.
a lot of folks still don't know about what programs are available. So I hope that they'll call you and you can connect them with state resources.
It's so important that people know that there are programs out there, that the legislature in a bipartisan manner has been working proactively to keep United Technologies in the state, which was key. We created a port authority out of New Haven for the first time to promote maritime trade, and continue to support small businesses and businesses in general. And that's really important for me and for Simsbury and for you, is we have so many great, you know, local merchants from Antonio's to Weldon Hardware, and we want to make sure that we support our local businesses and help them grow in these difficult times. So it was a rewarding first 2 years, and it was so important, and is so important to have municipal advocacy. Mary and Lisa both involved with CROG and CCM, and coming to the Capitol and making sure, and I'm so sensitive to it as a municipal leader,
exactly.
that I know your needs, and I know that you need to be held harmless, and we represent the same people. And it's so important to have a great open relationship with you and the rest of the Board of Selectmen.
And this is such an important election. I can't stress enough, folks really need to put November 4th on their calendar. It's a really important election. It makes a difference who represents us at the state capitol. We need someone with experience, with long-range vision, to be a strong voice, to be an independent leader. And you've done all those things, and hope that you will remember to vote and come out and support John Hampton for his re-election state representative.
Hear, hear. I absolutely agree with that. You've done a wonderful job representing all of us, and you have done that because you've reached out to all of us. You reach out to Mary and I on municipal issues and ask us how it will impact local budgets, but more importantly, you reach out to everyone, whether they're high school students, seniors, parents, people with struggling with disease or illness. You reach out to all of them, and that gives you the expertise to be an effective leader in Hartford, and we're grateful for your support.
Well, thank you both so much. I really appreciate your support and your leadership, of course, and look forward to hopefully working and continuing to still work for you as your state representative.
I'm Linda Schofield. I'm Simsbury's former state representative, and as such I can tell you that I know that John has a tough job to do. It's not easy being state representative. You have to really figure out the facts of each situation and listen to the many divergent opinions of all of your constituents in Simsbury. But John's a good listener, and he pours through that information in order to figure out what's the best decision to make on each issue on behalf of Simsbury. And I can tell you, John loves being your representative. He knows Simsbury better than just about anybody. He's a hometown boy, born and raised here, lived here his whole life. He was on the planning board, on the Aging and Disability Commission, and 9 years on the Board of Selectmen. So he's done a lot of public service in Simsbury, even prior to being Simsbury's state representative. And hands down, unquestionably, John has knocked on more doors in this town than anybody you could ever imagine. So he probably knows you personally. John's also a great champion of senior issues, veteran issues, and environment issues, which are close to my heart as well. I was very pleased that John seized on the issue of Yukon thinking that they would take water from the Farmington River. This would not have been a good thing for Simsbury or for the river. And he really championed that issue, was the lead person to make sure that that initiative was stopped, and more importantly, to assure that in the future there would be a statewide plan established to figure out how water should be used in this state and where it should come from. I think that's a really important thing. So I urge you to vote for John this November, and to get out and vote, period. It's going to be an election when a lot of people, because it's not a presidential election, when a lot of people sit home. So your vote is very, very important. So I urge you to come out and vote in November and to vote for John Hampton. Thank you.
He has honored our veterans, young and old, who have served our country faithfully.
Hello, my name is Frank Sauls. I'm a single father and business owner in town, and I'm here to support John Hampton. The reason I believe John will do a great job for us again in Hartford is because I know how he supports veterans, both overseas and when they get home. He's been a loud voice, and I certainly appreciate it. As a father, I know I can count on John for his word on education to support teachers and the administration in Hartford. As a business owner, I know John has my back, as I also have come to realize that not everybody plays by the rules. I appreciate John's voice in Hartford, and as a resident, a lifelong resident of town, I also live up in the village, and I appreciate what John has done for us, but the entire community of Simsbury. That's why I'm voting for John on 4 November 2014.
John created the Clean Energy Task Force to establish clean water across Connecticut, instead of drawing water from the Farmington River.
I'm Don Rieger. A couple of years ago, there was a brazen attempt to divert Farmington River water from Simsbury to another part of Connecticut altogether. John Hampton raised his voice and made sure that the outrage felt by Simsbury people was heard in the corridors of power. But more important, John, although in those days he was only a rookie in the General Assembly, began a legislative process to assure the kind of water planning statewide that had been shamefully neglected for decades. Today, through John's efforts, water planning is the law in Connecticut, and the planning process has started. We owe John a great vote of thanks for that. John Hampton is a dedicated conservationist and a very diligent legislator. He is very worthy of your support. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Elaine Titus, and I'm a mom of 2, and I live in Simsbury. I'm voting for John Hampton. The reason I'm voting for John Hampton is because I'm concerned about our future, and I know John is too. He's an amazing environmental steward. He stopped the diversion of the water from the Farmington Valley by the Yukon. He's also championed and spearheaded a water supply campaign so that we would have a statewide water campaign to protect our natural resources. When you call, John listens. I call John to help me get our food supply labeled with the genetically modified organisms, and he was there to support me. He answers your call, he listens to you, and he's there spending a lot of time in Hartford representing our voices. So when you go out to vote this November 4th, please vote for John Hampton. He'll listen to you and represent you.
John serves on the Aging and Disability Commission and convened the first ever Simsbury Senior Summit in order to raise awareness and improve the lives of seniors.
I would like all the seniors to remember to vote for John Hampton November 4th. He has always been out there for the seniors, trying to keep us in our homes and working for a new senior center. And so I think we should all vote, for John, because he really has been very good to us seniors.
Even while John is busy working in Hartford on Simsbury's behalf, he is never too busy to attend to our town's special events.
Hi, my name is Piper DeLow and I'm president of the Young Democrats Club at Simsbury High School. I've known Mr. Hampton since my freshman year, and the first day I met him, I've only had positive vibes from him. I know that whenever I need anything, I can always reach out to him, and he's always willing to help me. And he's always done everything he can to help this club and just make it the best possible club there is. And for all of you registered voters out there who don't know who to vote for, I'm telling you to vote for Mr. Hampton because he's just an outstanding man, and he will always do everything to help.
Hi, I'm John Hampton, Simsbury State Representative, running for re-election. Doing my favorite campaign activity, going door to door, visiting with Simsbury residents, listening to their thoughts and concerns. For the last 2 years, I've been honored and privileged to represent all 23,000 Simsbury residents in the state legislature. Restoring the economy remains a priority. Setting the climate for job creation, supporting small businesses remains a top priority for me as I serve in the legislature. Being fiscally conservative, making sound decisions on behalf of all the residents of Simsbury. I also continue to work hard for our nation's veterans, making sure that all the brave men and women our armed forces are taken care of when they come home, providing them jobs, providing them housing and transportation. It is indeed a unique pleasure and a wonderful experience to be Simsbury's voice at the state capitol. As your hometown state representative, being born and raised here in Terriffill, I love this town, I love the people, and I ask for your vote on November 4th. Thank you.